the two may be completely wrong. We could say Raila Odinga is a one-man political army, and that not having any constitutionally designated position, he is actually able to rattle all these people. It ought to have been enough for even just one person to stand up and speak and say that this is not true. The facts are as follows. But we have seen that some of the intervention is even diversionary. It starts bordering on name-calling, shouting, screaming, barking, saying things like he's actually just a person with access to grind, he expected a bribe, and that he has not received a bribe. It's in fact something that borders on libel. And so again, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of conversation is possible between Jubilee and CORD?
Yes.
And very often it's a very nasty conversation in which the facts are drowned. We cannot tell in this case who is telling the truth,
yes,
and who is lying.
Yes. And as Barack Muluka rightly put it, the government, let's say that the leader of majority, his reaction was totally off. While CS Eugene Wamalwa tried to correct the facts, or rather clarify with regard to the claims by Bwana Odinga, Aden Duale went political. Yeah, because Raila has actually come out and listed a number of facts. He says he wants the government to stop the 6.8 billion shilling secret tunnels of death water project in Muranga, funded by the World Bank. He says that the project will turn parts of the country into a desert. Says there was no public participation and demands environmental audit to address concerns, which, by any standards, people who are not aware about this project could say there could be legitimate concerns, and probably they expect the government to actually do that. Government, on the other hand, says project to give Nairobi 140,000 cubic meters of water a day to continue, denies secrecy claims, and says Raila in fact launched the project in 2012 when he was Prime Minister. But the reaction by Aden Duale, going political and saying, Bwana Odinga is just trying to divert attention from what is happening in court, while he has actually laid, Raila Odinga has actually laid some facts on the ground and said this is wrong. Do you think that was correct for Aden Duale?
I think in Dimuli, we have to look at the political landscape. One, you cannot say that what Raila said is factual and what Duale said is not, because he's also a politician. If we were in a situation where Raila is not seeking any political office and said he's a water engineer or he's an expert in this field and issued something, then we would say, let us look at the facts. But he's a politician who is seeking a top office in this country. So it has to be responded to also in a political, landscape, in a political platform. So that one you have to give it up to Duale, to everyone. In fact, you will see many more conferences. Even Muranga County government will react, because
they expected to react today.
You will get a lot of reactions, because the only way to counter any propaganda or to demystify anything is to actually give the fact. I'm not a water engineer, neither is Raila, neither is any one of us here. So you cannot now say that we know about this project so well, and you cannot now say that what Raila says has to be factual and everything anyone else says is not. So let us start from there. But I think going forward, we agree on a few issues. One, the population of Nairobi has grown tremendously. It actually keeps growing. Is there a shortage of water? Of course, yes. In fact, just yesterday, there was a study of hygiene in schools. We look at the slums in Kibera, we look at the Mukuru. Do we have enough water to actually make sure that we stop losing so many children under 5? Of course not. We agree that there is a shortage. How that is addressed, and it's not something that has begun today, began even when he was a Prime Minister. That master plan that he was launching with Ngilu, and the agreement with the Germans. In fact, yesterday there was a meeting with the German experts on water, with our country's experts on the same. The infrastructure has to be implemented by government. The only difference is that Raila is not in government. So for the government and for those of us who support government, you are put at a situation where you are not allowed to say just anything. he can get away with saying anything. But I think we need to separate the facts from propaganda and put it out there. You're not a water expert. People need water in Nairobi, and we are not going to open a tap and let 140,000 cubic meters flow.
You don't need to. You don't
that
need
is
to be a water engineer.
I said exactly that. Duale is not a water engineer, neither are we. So for me, the baseline is that we need to address the water shortage.
But then again, I get what the senator is saying, but do we therefore run a risk of dismissing claims that could be legitimate simply because whoever is fronting the claims is not an expert? Would we rather have a water expert come and say there's a problem here?
I think what senator is saying is totally misleading. When you look at our constitution, the aspect of public participation, you don't need to have a specific specialty in any matter. And looking at Raila Odinga from history, this is somebody who was in the government, this is somebody who is knowledgeable, this is somebody who does his research. Remember the NYS scandal? It is Raila Amolo Odinga, and he had been dismissed. What happened? The same aspect happened in the Eurobond. Looking at that trend and trying to extrapolate, it tells you that Raila Amolo Odinga is not somebody who just comes and shouts. And in any case, my friend Senator, you can't come on this honorable panel and say that he's a nobody. I don't know whether he's the one who said whatever it is. I think he's,
you put that in my mouth.
I think it's that is nobody constitutionally. Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga.
I said he does not have
constitutional, absolutely
designated. And if he had,
it was in a very positive note.
Yes, absolutely. The issue is this: when it comes to matters of oversight or anything, there's nowhere even in the constitution it has said that you must be somebody so and so. And looking at Raila Amolo Odinga at the moment, he's actually the opposition leader, and the work of opposition is to put the government on check, and this is what Raila Amolo Odinga is doing. So somebody like Honorable Duale, I think I call it psychophancy. You know, at times Duale comes up with some issues which are very, very critical. Like the other day when we were debating in Parliament about the aspect of KQ. He brings a wonderful idea nicely, but he's always deviating somewhere, maybe to please his masters. You get the point? So in this case, this issue, you can't come and purport that Raila Amolo Odinga is drowning. I'm not saying Raila Amolo Odinga drowning. In any case, when you look at the trend, his star is going up. Looking at the IPC. IPC today, they are home because Raila Amolo Odinga, as a citizen of this country, he led the protest for these people to go home. And in line with Article 10 of the Constitution, which talks about public participation, sustainable development, Raila Amolo Odinga, whatever he's bringing on board, is critical. And when you look at the good practices in project management, there's this aspect of a feasibility study. We need to know, was there a feasibility study about this project? Was there an environmental impact audit? It needs to be there. And in line with Article 35 of the Constitution, which talks about access to information, Kenyans have a right to know. There's no way Raila Amolo Odinga can come from nowhere. And he went further to say, during the time of Michuki, who was by then the minister in charge, he said that this project will come over my dead body. And because this project is going to happen in Murang'a, we're asking the County Assembly of Murang'a, have they been involved in any way? Because it calls for public participation. There are critical stakeholders as far as this matter is concerned. So this is a serious matter, and we want to thank Raila Amolo Odinga for bringing it up, and we want the government to be accountable. And my friend Honorable Duale, please stop diverting attention. Raila is not drowning, is not doing anything. The government is responsible to account for everything. Yes,
of course we understand that the county government of Murang'a will issue a statement today. I do not know about the county assembly of that county. But when Ocheng, where do you see this heading?
You know, Fred, I think first of all Raila is the right person to raise this issue. Because he was in government when the plan for the 160 billion project was put through, and he's not denied that. He's not denied, and actually he's basing his statements on that master plan. He's not saying he didn't launch anything. He didn't launch this 6.8 billion project, but he launched a bigger project that includes this 6.8 billion, and that's why he should be the one to talk about it, because he knows what he's talking about. But most importantly, really, is I don't know why as a country we don't like discussing issues. I've never understood it. Why? Raila says, look, there is a risk of some rivers drying up. Is there a risk?
Yes.
Can the government tell us, is there a risk? Let's not split hairs. Let us bring information. He says that no impact EIA was done. The easiest thing for the Minister for Water to do is to present the copy. Please read it for yourself. Okay? The best thing the Minister for Water could do is, here is the risk mitigation measures we've taken. For the Kenyans, you know, I never understand how this country is going to develop by always trying to sweep the real issues under the carpet and think that politics is going to build this country. It's a shame. It's a big issue. And you know, Raila is a statesperson. Give it to him. Let's forget about what he's looking for as an individual. He's a Kenyan. And he thought about Mao. For so long, he lost votes because of Mao. Right? And we saw that happening. He said so many things that are right, but which are, in quotes, politically incorrect. But they come to pass. And so we cannot always want things to be politically correct. Let us look at things for what they are. Yes. Yeah, and Fred, before I leave that, you know, even the SGR issue, Raila was part of the team that put together with Kibaki. And he's told you that we launched it, but the prices have gone up. These guys have deflated the whole thing. Galana Kulalu. These are not new things. Only that guys come in and divert from the original intention and the plans that were put into place. But as I pen off, I think even the media will now have to be more responsible. You don't have to give a hawk like Duale a chance to speak on things like these ones that are so serious that I think the media should be taking time to interpolate and let Kenyans understand what is it that we are talking about. Before you give someone a chance to try to dismiss this kind of a thing, I think it must be interrogated.
Yes. Senator, you realize that your position on this panel today is not easy, because you have to defend the Jubilee side of it.
You know, you cannot say, you call Duale a hawk, that's fine. But you cannot say, we give Raila the space, but deny everyone else. Because Raila is right and everyone is right. I don't think that's right. And I think this issue of sycophancy, like Wamalwa puts it, it is sycophancy when Duale defends the government, but it is not when they defend their own opposition leader. I think let us apply the same standards. And the issue of feasibility study, I think he talks of research. I know he can do research, and I know that feasibility report is out there. It is 143 pages. I would invite you to read it because it is there. You know, it is online. I don't have to carry documents. I can send it from here. But that is not even a problem. You also do the research. Don't also become experts of an issue you're not. You know. So I think the information that the government has given out, and that is what the CS was referring to yesterday. There is a feasibility study. It looks at what that means, the 140,000. What does it mean? It looks at quite a wide range of issues. What does it mean? What does it mean for the environment? What does it mean for Maragua, for Muranga, for Gituge, for the areas that where we are going to discuss and where that impact is going to be.
What I want, Senator,
the environmental impact is in that report. So I think it is not, of course it is not illegal to raise it. And Raila has done what he does all the time. He has brought it, and I think that is, you must give it to him that we are discussing it. But you can only counter the propaganda with facts. I think the government has done that, and it will continue to do that.
A government that launches toilets for 30,000 shillings. Government where you have deputy president or going to launch projects of 100,000 shillings all over the country. You'd think, why would they launch a 6.8 billion project? I've seen Uhuru Kenyatta going to light electricity in someone's house worth 50,000 shillings. This is 6.8 billion.
And I want to tell you
what I want the senators to know in terms of the good practices of project management, as he clearly puts it about the feasibility study. So the importance of this feasibility study, we need to look at the aspect of the risk of this particular project. And in that feasibility study, there must be some section, because Raila is worried about the issue of desertification. So there must be something called mitigating strategies. So when I talk about a feasibility study, which I want her to understand, maybe, you know, we're also here to share, you know, you go to that section whereby there was that risk of desertification where it should be identified. And after it has been identified in the same feasibility study, there must be a section of mitigation of these risks. So in this feasibility study, you need to check that particular section on how you are planning to mitigate, to minimize that risk of desertification. Because indeed that's a very serious. And let me just finish. So what the government is supposed to do, you don't just table, get that particular relevant section of mitigation. This is what you want to know. And you must do a cost-benefit analysis. There's no project in life which is 100% perfect. So that aspect of mitigating strategies, which I want the Honorable Senator to do, you go get the copy, make an extract, and say, hey, this was identified, yes, and these are some of the mitigation strategies. And that's why the county government of Murang'a, the county assembly, they are very, very critical as far as stakeholding is concerned. You know, we are waiting for their report, but what we know, they were not involved, and particularly that time, Michuki, who is a minister from that section, he had said it over his dead body.
And for the sake of our audience, because I need to understand...
people who are not even here to defend themselves. You know, this idea of putting people who are
for the sake of this conversation, for the sake of this conversation and progression, I need to understand, for the members of the public, who need to understand, okay, what next now? Because Raila Odinga has come and raised an issue. We've seen him raise an issue previously on NYS and to do with money matters. Such issues are probably, you send that report to the DCI for investigations. But on an environmental issue like this one, yes, Raila Odinga has come out and said, this is happening. The government comes out and says, no, that's not happening. Then what next?
You know, Fred, and this is where we always get wrong. Raila is not accusing anybody of corruption. He's not accusing anybody.
He actually put it on record yesterday.
No, but I'm saying once
on the president, actually.
Once he actually comes and says there's something wrong happening,
can I be given a chance?
Can I be given
a chance?
Yes.
We will talk about the president Martha any day, because the buck stops with him any day of the week in this country.
Yes.
And so if the NEMA fails, it's the president that has failed. Okay? And so we'll be hoping in the coming days that, one, transparency prevails and the information requested for by Honorable Raila Odinga is given to the public. Two, what is talked about, we want to know whether the due diligence and the regulatory and statutory requirements were met before this project was started. And three, as they do the drilling, as they start the implementation of the project, what mitigation measures have they put in place? Have they been commenced? And four, have they involved the so-called beneficiaries? Do they know about this? And are they supportive of the project? Are they taking part of the in the implementation of the project?
When you say they, who are we talking about?
The beneficiaries.
Because, as I said, when it's a matter to do with financial mismanagement or fraud, for example, we call in the DCI to investigate. On this matter, which is environmental, who do we call in?
NEMA. I've talked about NEMA. The National Environmental Management Authority must be...
So we expect a response from
definitely them. They must put... and no, this matter is not about NEMA only. It's cross-cutting. It cuts across a number of ministries.
Because we do run the risk of Odinga saying one thing, the government saying another.
The issue, I think, of the next one to speak.
I'll give you.
You'll be the final one.
Yes, I think let's be heard. We need a variety of authorities to speak about this. Of course, about the Murang'a county government, you don't need to be very intelligent to know what they are going to say. Everything in this country is tribal. They are going to take a position that suggests that their government, the national government, which they see as their government, is under assault. And so, regardless of what the facts may be, one way or the other, you can predict the position they are going to take. If there are other persons in government, in forestry, in the water ministry, and in other authorities, you can almost predict again what they are going to say. And you can also predict what the political opposition is going to say, again, regardless of the facts, to the extent that people like my brother, Mheshimiwa Dr. Wamalwa here, refuse to hear even when we say good things about their leader, Raila Odinga. In their very presence, they say that we have belittled him because of that mindset. So expect an altercation. But the sober path will be what Mheshimiwa David has suggested, that you don't need Dwale to come up making hawkish and rabid statements. In fact, I am almost stopping to take him seriously on anything he says, because he has become a barking attack dog. It's not possible for anything good to be said by the political opposition, in his view. And so anything that they say, he will come and bastardize, he will demonize, he will rubbish, and the facts are lost. But we would like to see the facts being presented, because Raila Odinga has issued a position and broken it blow by blow. Is it possible that we can be given the facts also blow by blow and be told that this is the actual situation?
Okay.
I think the way forward on this matter is, as it's seen, it's cross-cutting. It cuts across, not just an issue of environment. We have also allegations of aspect to do with the procurement. When you look at the headline, there's this term called secret. Why secret? That means there's something being hidden. So in terms of stakeholder participation, we want to understand what level of stakeholder participation was done. And in this case, when you do stakeholder, you must look at the beneficiaries also. You must look at the environmental aspects, the financial aspect, the procurement, all those issues. As you said, it's multi-sectoral. What the government should do at such a time, in fact, my humble request, because this issue is touching across, it's actually a national issue.
Should we expect it to be tabled in Parliament?
Absolutely. It should be even Parliament as a representative of the people. In this case, we need even a motion of adjournment so that we can discuss this matter of national importance. And if possible, the minister in charge, Honorable Eugene Umalwa, should be able to be called to Parliament, who are the representative of the people, to come and give a presentation so that we know, so that we can be able to critique and look at it. And meanwhile, this project, if people are not satisfied, it should stop. So that once the report comes out, it's given a clear bill of health, then it can move on. We should not rush. Because here, what Raila has said, I think there's something here. We've been told what Michuki said. Michuki, having been the current minister by that particular time, and coming from the Muranga, he must have had the interest of the people. He said, over my dead body. That is a very serious statement.
He's no longer there.
But you can look at the history.
I give you a chance to analyze. We're going for a break in a short while. She'll be the last person to talk about this.
Okay, before she does, I hope that probably some other time you can be able to invite the NEMA, the Water Towers Authority. You know, these are guys who are working on these matters, the drought management authorities, so they can discuss the technical aspects of this, so that guys who can understand also the politics of all this, understand what the ramifications of what this project is all about.
My final word on this issue, you know, if you listened to Raila Odinga's press statement yesterday, in fact it's Ocheng who's saying he did not touch on financial matters. In fact, he actually said that he hopes that this matter does not carry the president's business interests. What does that mean? You cannot say he can get away with that. And when Duale says about the 10%, you say it's libel. You know, the application has to be both sides, and that has to be put on record, because you can also not say the president is corrupt, but when you're told the same, people say it's libel and they should go or sue you or something. I think let us be fair to each other. The statements that were made yesterday were not necessary. If you are raising the issue of technical bit of this project, then it should have remained as such. You should not have gone to the business interest of anyone, I mean, without defense, and you don't want someone to respond on it. But finally, I think the Constitution is very clear, and I think the Jubilee government has demonstrated as such in terms of dealing with issues that have been raised, whether by Raila Odinga or any other person. We have had people being prosecuted, in court cases going on, CS is leaving their jobs because of issues of corruption. I think it has demonstrated so far that it listens to the people, because the Constitution, Article 35, actually gives you the right of information. Anyone, whether you're the opposition leader or you're a sweeper in Kibera, you deserve to know what is happening. So I think the way forward is simple, that the facts have to be put on record, and I think this can happen very well in Parliament, because that is where we deliberate on issues, and we are looking forward to it, so that we can also interrogate it.
Yes, we do hope to see something happening, and probably this matter being taken up by Parliament.